Metaphysics+Variety+Cool Literature+Double Cleanliness, soft and cute, sweet and glutinous little bun Jiang Li, in order to make money and find a family, participated in a mystical variety show to help others change their luck and block evil spirits. As long as you have enough money in place, everything can be arranged clearly for you. But because of a land-bound spirit, he offended the powerful ruler of the imperial capital, the third master of the Qin family, who was worth billions. He treated him as a little scammer and stayed by his side as his personal bodyguard. As a result, he unexpectedly became popular and became a sought-after target among the commercial giants and wealthy families in the imperial capital. As a result, he also gained a group of fans, with fans flocking to his younger brother and sister. Before the variety show starts filming. Is it okay to be so young? Is this a program based on appearance? I'm sure I don't have any real skills. I must have been possessed by something to watch this program later. My female goose is so cute, I really want to take it away. Nowadays, there are still people who judge people by their appearance. It's really ridiculous. Master, please take my knee. Qin Sanyi was decisive in his campaigns and strategized, making him the famous Diamond King Lao Wu in the imperial capital. I never imagined that catching a little scammer would not only break an old father's heart, but also chop the thorns and peach blossoms. If you come out to mess around, you really need to pay it back. Small theater. Jiang Li blinked her big black eyes and looked at the 1-in-a-million unicorn bones in front of her. She shook her head and said, "Unfortunately, someone has changed her destiny." Qin Sanyi smiled, "A little scammer, see what tricks you can play. Uncle, let me give you a divination. 50,000 yuan, paid in cash, not on credit." Qin Sanyi. Sure enough, the tricks of the little scammer have begun. Keywords of the novel. Soft and cute little lucky star, rose to fame through mystical variety shows without pop-ups. Soft and cute little lucky star, rose to fame through mystical variety shows. Download the complete text. Soft and cute little lucky star, rose to fame through mystical variety shows. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Destiny with Kirin Bones. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Destiny with Kirin Bones. Master, please let me see my mother again. On a quiet night, the moon is shrouded in mist, casting a faint glow. On the rooftop of Qingguang Middle School. Jiang Li leaned against the railing to gaze into the distance, and everything in front of him seemed to be covered in a veil, with a vague and indistinct image. In her ear, listening to the mournful pleading, she wore a small face and wanted to appear more serious. Because my master once said that in their profession, the most important thing is to be profound and unfathomable. I need to show my style. Unfortunately, that round face had a hint of baby fat on it, without any deterrent power. Opening your mouth is even more effective. The soft and sticky voice is completely profound. But he still insisted on saying, people have humanity, and spirits have spirituality. The fate of your mother and daughter has already ended. It's not beneficial to force another meeting. I know. But once I go to reincarnation, I won't see her again. My father died early and it's always been us mother and daughter living together. If I leave, she will be heartbroken to death. Beside, in a place that others cannot see. A white-clad girl twitched and twitched, tears streaming down her face. Especially when it comes to Mom, tears flow even more fiercely. Jiang Li pursed her lips and said with rare comfort, my master once said that everything has fate. If you have fate, you will definitely meet again in the future. Maybe you can continue the mother-daughter relationship in this life. Really? But. The girl in white clenched her sleeves, hesitating and unwilling to leave. Jiang Li let out a silent sigh, took out a talisman, and was about to send the girl in white to be reincarnated when hurried footsteps came from behind. She turned her head and saw several people walking towards her, silently taking the talisman back. Vivi. The middle-aged woman walking in front of her, who was tall, wore a qipao and looked very wealthy. But my hair has turned white, my eyes are red and swollen, and on a well-maintained face, there are obvious fine lines, which are very weathered. Mom! The girl in white couldn't help but burst into tears when she saw the newcomer. She ran towards the woman involuntarily, but passed straight through her body, unable to even make the most basic touch. At this moment, she suddenly realized that she had already died. Mom can't even see her. Jiang Li saw that the spiritual light on the girl's body had faded a lot, and her whole body was listless and stiff, standing there. I can't bear it. She raised her hand and pinched the formula, covering the white-clad girl with a layer of spiritual power mask. Yuling Chuanin said, don't be too sad either. Although she can't see you, you can see her. If you want, you can get closer. Well, this should be considered as having met before. And there were no fouls. Even if the master is here, she can't pick her faults. After calming down a bit, Jiang Li walked up to the middle-aged woman and stood still. Liu Hei's big eyes looked up and down at her and said, Auntie, are you Bai Wei's mother? You. Did you write that letter? Where is Vivi? Where is she? When she received the anonymous letter, Qin Wenyao still held a hint of luck in her heart, thinking that her daughter might not have died. After all, the only place where the incident occurred was my daughter's clothes and backpack. She didn't even see her daughter's body. But there was another voice in her heart constantly reminding her that her daughter had been killed. On the way here, two voices constantly clashed with each other, tormenting her to the point of going crazy and almost collapsing. Just as she was still holding a hint of fantasy, the girl before meeting nodded. The next words shattered her hopes even more. Auntie, please pay your respects. Bai Wei is no longer here. The reason why I am writing to invite you out this time is because I promised Bai Wei that I would convey some messages on her behalf so that she can safely go to reincarnation. After speaking, the woman's face turned pale as if she was not listening at all. She said in silence, it's okay, you can be mentally prepared first. If you're ready, just let me know. The reason why Jiang Li is in charge of this matter is twofold. Firstly, it is related to the matter she is investigating, and secondly, it is to accumulate merit. In their profession, there are inevitably 5 drawbacks and 3 shortcomings. My master said that she committed the crime of loneliness. So, since she became sensible, she has never seen her parents. According to her master, her mother had an accident shortly after giving birth to her and passed away. But she knew that her mother was not in an accident, but was killed by an evil spirit. Dad also lost his trace to track down that evil spirit. These, although her master refused to tell her, she could calculate. Since learning divination, she has been secretly calculating for herself. Pieced together and learned a lot of truth. It is precisely because she knew that she worked harder to accumulate merits. Because only by accumulating merits can we bless our father and prevent ourselves from becoming true orphans. And master, counting the days, he has been away for over 5 years. I don't know where he is at this moment, and whether their master and disciple will see each other again. She has been very worried because she can't calculate it. Recently, she found out about an organization that would use deception to make some ignorant girls sacrifice at the sacrificial ceremony. Devote their bodies and souls. The style of action of the organization that my master traced 5 years ago is very similar. Remember, my master once said after getting drunk that the organization was related to the evil spirit that killed my mother. So, she can't miss any clues. And Bai Wei was one of the victims lured by that organization. He is also the only person who can still exist here in the form of earth-bound spirits after death. So, there is another important reason why Jiang Li helped Bai Wei pass the message. That is, she wants to know why Bai Wei became the exception. Opposite. Before Jiang Li could finish speaking, Qin Wenyao felt dizzy. My eyes turned black. There was a buzzing sound in my ears. Fortunately, he was helped by his younger brother standing beside him and barely fainted. And Qin Yuqing silently scrutinized Jiang Li in front of him, surprised that the person who arranged to meet his sister was actually a seemingly underage girl. I couldn't help feeling a little angry in my heart. Did you not learn well at a young age and instead learn those tricks of pretending to be a god or a ghost? Most likely, it was through some means that Bai Wei's identity and background were discovered, hoping to extort money. He knew that in the past few days, his sister had become exhausted and couldn't withstand any further blows. After helping her, Qin Yuqing instructed his assistant to take her back to the car and keep her. Sharp and cold eyes pointed straight at Jiang Li. You just said, you want to convey something for Bai Wei. Jiang Li remained silent. After seeing Qin Yuqing's face clearly, he couldn't help but be taken aback for a moment. Just now, all my thoughts were on Bai Wei's matter, and she didn't notice that this man had a pair of unicorn bones. There has always been a saying circulating in their industry. Having a Qilin bone, one cannot be immortal. People born with Kirin bones are often difficult to get along with, but they have a first-class wealth and fortune, with an excellent destiny. Looking at this man, surrounded by purple aura, he is even more of a noble person. However, his hall of influence turned a bit dark, and there was a hint of evil energy between his eyebrows, which did not quite match his destiny. What kind of person, so bold, dares to move a nobleman who is determined by heaven? End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Live streaming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Live streaming. Seeing Jiang Li's thoughtful appearance and not speaking, Qin Yuqing thought she was afraid. After easing her tone for a moment, she asked, "Little girl, do you think you're young and in junior high school?" As he spoke, he lit a cigarette, and the white smoke gradually merged into the mist, making his facial features a bit blurry. He squinted his eyes, with a dark and gloomy expression. Jiang Li couldn't bear the smell of smoke and took a step back slightly. As soon as he stood still, Bai Wei whispered, "He is my little uncle. When I was alive, he was the one I feared most. Not only I was afraid of him, but also my father was afraid of when he was alive. He is a man who doesn't believe in ghosts and gods, and probably will regard you as a liar. I'd better not say anything about my message to you. Let's forget it." "How can we forget it? I will definitely do what I promise." Jiang Li had a resolute expression on his face, and his whole body was tense. Although her voice was lowered, it was still heard by Qin Yuqing. In his opinion, this little scammer has a lot of courage and dares to pretend to be mischievous in front of him. He fiercely extinguished the cigarette in his hand and sneered, "At your age, you should study well in school, you know. No matter how you inquire about Vivi's situation, I will advise you to stop it. Otherwise, I will have to report it to the police." As he spoke, he took out his phone and lit up the screen. In front of Jiang Li, he slowly entered 3 numbers. Jiang Li felt that this person was a bit unreasonable. He furrowed his eyebrows slightly and said with a cold face, "Uncle, although I'm not very old, I understand that deceiving people is not right. Whether you believe it or not, I have to say that I'm not a scammer. I wrote that letter out of kindness." "Ha, then you can tell me what Bai Wei told you." Qin Yuqing's fingers rubbed the broadcast button intentionally or unintentionally, as if he would call out at any time. Jiang Li remained unmoved and straightened his face. "Bai Wei wants to tell you that she didn't commit suicide, but was deceived by criminals to lose her life. However, she doesn't want you to investigate this matter again because it would be very dangerous. Also, she wants to apologize to her mother and regrets arguing with her before." At this point, she hesitated for a moment and said, "Although you were very impolite and threatened me with the police, I still want to remind you. If you can't go out recently, it's best not to go out. You may have been targeted by someone, and you may not be able to handle it properly, which could be life-threatening. How come you still look at me?" Qin Yuqing hooked his lips, but there was no smile in his eyes. Perhaps it was a long night of boredom, but he showed a rare patience and slowly said, if you really know how to look, can you tell why that life concern is? Speak it out and listen, maybe I'll believe it. I can't see it yet, Jiang Li shook her head honestly. She is not a deity, so naturally she cannot be a prophet. Of course, if she needs to divine, there will definitely be a fee. After a moment of silence, she said, if you want to know, I can help you divine. However, I have already finished divining today and can only wait until tomorrow. Okay, then tomorrow. Qin Yuqing changed his mind and is no longer preparing to report to the police for handling. Just a little scammer, he can handle it. Recently, due to Vivi's incident, he has been on vacation and happens to have plenty of time. Playing with her is like passing the time. As soon as Bai Wei heard her little uncle's words, she felt a thump in her heart and anxiously said, Master, it's over. My little uncle has set his sights on you. He's always in a bad mood, and someone will get unlucky. It seems that this time, he's going to deal with you. Jiang Li pursed her lips and remained silent. This feeling of being questioned and looked down upon by others made her very uncomfortable. She also has a temper, silently said in her heart. Although her master often told her not to harm people's hearts, anyone who dares to bully her can still give her a proper lesson. The more this person doesn't believe her, the more she wants him to be convinced. Although they are not a prestigious sect, they absolutely do not allow others to be disrespectful or humiliated. Okay, it's a deal. I'll start the first hexagram for you tomorrow. However, there will be a fee for starting the hexagram, depending on the situation. In your case, at least 50,000 yuan is required. We only accept cash, not credit. Jiang Li pouted angrily, his big black eyes wide open. That little face was already as fair as snow, and this puffy cheeks looked like a little bun. Although Qin Yuqing still thought he was a little scammer, he inexplicably found it somewhat cute. That night, I arranged for someone to stay at a hotel under my name. When Jiang Li returned to the hotel room, the first thing she did was to prepare for Bai Wei's reincarnation. But Bai Wei doesn't want to leave. Begging, Master, if you still have to do divination for my little uncle tomorrow, don't waste your energy on me. I'll leave a day early or a day late, it's nothing. It's okay, divination doesn't waste much cultivation. Jiang Li still insisted on sending her away, because the evil organization behind her could take action again at any time. Leaving early can reduce a lot of risks. Bai Wei couldn't persuade her and could only take a step back. Then let's wait until tomorrow after divination before seeing me off, okay? Anyway, let's stay an extra night. Jiang Li knew she couldn't bear to leave, but eventually her heart softened and she breathed a sigh of relief. I just thought about it all night, and even if I watch it myself, there won't be anything wrong. Then he threw out a few talismans and woven them into a barrier, which made him feel at ease. After confirming the safety of the room, she took out her phone and began studying the live broadcast. This is still one of her previous clients who suggested she do it. I have live streamed a few times, but I still don't know much. The registration time for the main account is not long, and coupled with her lack of business skills, her live streaming time is not fixed, so there are not many people coming. Those who will pay attention to her are all like-minded people. As the live broadcast begins, the number of people in the live room gradually increases. Demon subduing and demon subduing Little King Kong joins the live room. Dao Yi is not a glass-hearted person who joined the live broadcast room, nurturing an ear god and joining the live room. He joined the live broadcast room. About 10 minutes later, the number of people in the live broadcast room was fixed at 8 or 9. Jiang Li glanced and found that most of them were old faces. Master Dao is not a glass-hearted person. Good evening, Sister Fu Li. Tonight, I was lucky enough to be on your live stream. Nurturing an ear to report. Yes, good luck. Good evening, demon subduing Little King Kong. Hee, I have some good news for you. Today, I followed my master to collect Ah Piao. Oh, congratulations. Jiang Li was afraid of ghosts before, so she cried and howled. She bought many small Taoist priests with talismans for self-defense from her, and now she can catch ghosts. She is happy for him from the bottom of her heart. Although it was caught together with my master, it is also commendable. When she first followed her master to catch ghosts, she was actually quite uneasy. However, it was later discovered that ghosts are more afraid of people than people are, and gradually they no longer fear them. As I was recalling the past, I saw a line of words popping up from the barrage. Demon subduing and demon subduing Little King Kong. Sister, are you in the imperial capital? I heard that the recent campus sacrifice case is related to our sect. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Spiritual Ensemble. Do you have money to take it? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Spiritual Ensemble. Do you have money to take it? Well, yes. Jiang Li nodded, her face becoming solemn. Accidentally glancing at Bai Wei not far away, he asked, "Are you asking about this? Demon subduing and demon subduing Little King Kong. My master and several observers have been invited to come to your place, as if it is related to that matter." I said I wanted to be with him, but he refused. Master is not a glass-hearted person. Your master doesn't let you go, it's for your own good. That matter is very evil, and if it's not handled properly, it will be fatal. Nurturing your ears and reporting to the gods. Yes. I heard there's a spiritual variety show recently, and it seems like you're going to those schools to explore spirits. Hey, at demon subduing Little King Kong, isn't your master going to participate in the program? Safety comes first. Demon subduing and demon subduing Little King Kong. No, I have to go ask. Fu Li, do you still have talismans there? Urgent. Daoi is not a glass-hearted person. Little sister, I have a question to ask. To resolve the white tiger Sha, besides using Qilin and Qinglong, what else can we do? Jianghu is in urgent need. Jiang Li pursed her lips and said, there are many methods. For example, enhancing the power of the green dragon, sacrificing the white tiger, mountain and sea town, and Chonka method. However, when using them, you need to consider the specific situation. It's not easy to say the specifics here. You can contact me privately. Dao Yi is not a glass heart. Good, really love you so much, you are my eternal goddess. I don't dare to be a goddess, as long as I can help you. Jiang Li shook her head and smiled sweetly. When I laugh, there are two pair swirls on my lips that are neither deep nor shallow. Paired with that round face, it's really cute. But unfortunately, she has a pair of pure and beautiful big eyes, a typical beauty embryo. Dao Yi is not a glass-hearted person. To be honest, little sister, you look so beautiful that you are more than enough to be a celebrity. Demon subduing and demon subduing Little King Kong. Just returned, how did you discuss celebrities? However, Taoist friend, your vision is good. Our Fu Li looks much more beautiful than those female celebrities, and she is also beautiful and kind-hearted. She can even catch a piao. By the way, there are many spiritual variety shows recently, don't you consider participating in one? Lingzong. Do you have money to take it? Since her master left, Jiang Li's demands on herself have become increasingly strict. I rarely care about external things. But because she wants to track down the whereabouts of that evil spirit and support herself, she must find a way to make money. In addition to divination and requiem, it is also live streaming to sell one's own drawn talismans and some magical tools improved during leisure time. Everyone was discussing the matter of Ling Zong when a different voice ran out. At a young age, one should study hard. Being a celebrity is not easy. Is it? Is it difficult to be a celebrity? It's even harder than catching ghosts. Jiang Li looked silly and eager for knowledge. Actually, she doesn't really want to be a celebrity. Just curious about things that one doesn't know, and then casually inquire about them. Qin Yucheng, holding his phone, rubbed his brow and felt that he was simply wasting time. Just now, I was bored and entered an inexplicable live broadcast room. I didn't expect the host to be the little scammer I encountered before. Unconsciously, seeing now. I originally wanted to teach her a lesson, telling her to study hard and not to think about doing those pretentious things anymore. Suddenly asked, he didn't know what to say. After a moment of silence, I started typing. It's already late, don't you need to sleep? Be careful, you'll be late for school tomorrow. I have been recommended to the Theological Seminary of Daida University. Theological Seminary. Qin Yucheng hesitated for a moment and began sending messages to the assistant haircut. Is there a seminary in the imperial capital? The assistant, who was about to fall asleep, was confused about the information. Just as I was about to reply to the message, another one popped up from the other party. Forget it, there's no need to reply. Assistant. Early the next morning. Around 5 o'clock, Jiang Li got up and began to meditate and practice. For over a decade, she has been like this every day. Even without her master's presence and supervision, she still wouldn't slack off and even became more diligent. After waiting for an hour, at 6 o'clock, she drew a symbol for another hour before getting up and going downstairs to the restaurant for breakfast. Then I went for a run and didn't return to the hotel until 8:30. As soon as he entered the door, the assistant who had seen him briefly yesterday greeted him and politely and distantly said to Jiang Li, Miss Jiang, Mr. Qin is already waiting in the coffee shop. Well, I got it, let's go. Jiang Li wiped the sweat off her forehead and followed her assistant into the hall. Passing through the hall, on the right side, there is a very upscale decorated coffee shop. The wide French window let the sun shine through the glass, making the position near the window warm and comfortable for Qin Yucheng. Less sharp and indifferent. Sit down, take a sip of water first. Qin Yucheng gestured to lift his chin and took a sip of coffee from the table. Jiang Li saw a cup of warm water in front of him, took a sip, and then took out a turtle shell from his crossbody bag. It looks like it's been a while, it's definitely an old thing. Qin Yucheng glanced at the turtle shell and the 3 ancient coins in Jiang Li's hand and asked with a smile, how can this hexagram be divined? Do you need to write a character or 8 characters for your birth date? The words were spoken with a smile, and the leisurely demeanor throughout appeared casual. Even though he accidentally stumbled into the live broadcast room yesterday, he still didn't take this matter seriously. However, she wanted to see what she could predict. Jiang Li pursed her lips tightly and ignored him. Instead, she put the ancient coin into the turtle shell and shook it with her eyes closed. I shook it 6 times in total. Every time you shake it, you should spread out the ancient coins and take a good look. Finally, he tightened his brow and looked at Qin Yucheng with a calm face, hesitating to speak. What, it's very serious. Qin Yucheng had long anticipated that this would be the case. Generally, fortune tellers would not emphasize the calamity more. Speak more seriously, it's better to scam money next. This little scammer is quite greedy and has a lot of courage. However, he still wanted to see what she was going to say next. Jiang Li pinched her fingers and calculated, saying, Mu Ju is in Shan, so meeting Mao Shan is Mu Ju. The main vehicle and road are in disaster, wealth and silk are scattered, and swords and spears are damaged. It seems that the person behind you really wants your life. If it weren't for your fate, you would probably have died now. Is that right? The smile on Qin Yucheng's lips slowly calmed down, and his eyes were as deep as a 1,000-year-old cold pool. Just as he was about to say something, the assistant quickly walked over and whispered in his ear, the car that was sent to the repair shop before was found to have been tampered with. As he spoke, he glanced at Jiang Li's position intentionally or unintentionally. As he walked over, he heard the conversation between the two and noticed the phrase, vehicle road disaster. If it weren't for last night, I had decided to accompany Miss to Qinguang Middle School. Mr. Qin was supposed to drive that car to the company today. It was an accident that saved my life. I just don't know if this little girl really has some skills, or if she happened to be blindfolded when a blind cat ran into a dead mouse. Upon hearing this, Qin Yuqing fell silent and narrowed his eyes slightly, casting his gaze towards Jiang Li. With a hint of darkness and suspicion pressing down his eyelashes, he spoke up and asked, "Tell me, besides being able to calculate, what else can I do?" Catching ghosts. Hua Sha. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Am I going to have peach blossom luck today? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Am I going to have peach blossom luck today? Wait, I haven't finished speaking yet. Aren't you ready to continue listening? Jiang Li frowned and felt that this person was really impatient. It's a matter of life and death, and surprisingly, it's not taken seriously. But after all, he has received the money himself. If he encounters danger due to not being reminded properly, it may cause career obstacles. That's not worth the loss. But Qin Yuqing didn't want to listen anymore, because he had always believed that his fate should be in his own hands. Now that he knows someone wants his life, he will find a way to thoroughly investigate the other person's situation. Take preventive measures. Jiang Li saw that he still didn't trust him, but he didn't want to be easily dismissed. Because it's easier to track down the whereabouts of that organization by following Qin Yuqing's side than just leaving like this. Blinking her eyes, she took advantage of the heat to hit the railway and said, "You should be aware that the disaster you avoided was only temporary, and the other party would still take action. Ordinary people cannot protect you, why don't you ask me? This is our second cooperation, and we can offer you a cheaper price." Jiang Li pondered for a moment and reached out two tender white fingers. "My price is very fair, 20,000 yuan per day. If you need to use talismans or magical tools, the price will be even higher. If you can accept this price, let's sign a contract and I'll go with you." Actually, last night she lay in bed unable to sleep, constantly thinking about Bai Wei's matter. Previously, the girls killed by that organization were all virgins without exception. After death, not only were their bodies left, but also their souls were not left behind. Although Bai Wei was also a virgin, she became a ground-bound spirit and was not taken away by the people of that organization. In theory, this situation will not occur. Unless there is an accident. Coincidentally, she discovered that Bai Wei's little uncle, who was born with a unicorn bone, had been affected by someone's fate. Can there be such a coincidence in this world? So she suspected that the organization did not ignore Bai Wei's spirit because of a loophole, but rather because there was still a follow-up. Until now, she has studied the sacrificial array left by that organization, which is extremely evil. The technique used is feng shui prohibition. If that organization is really related to evil spirits, then reviving evil spirits requires a huge amount of resentment energy as an aid. So, that's why they set their sights on girls with childlike lives. But the fate of a virgin is not the only choice. If it were a qilin bone like Qin Yuqing, the effect would be several times stronger than that of a virgin's life. So, she guessed that the other party either gave up on Bai Wei and set their sights on this fat sheep. Either, both of them are on target. It's just that for some reason, Bai Wei hasn't been touched yet. However, regardless of the possibility, she took the opportunity to stay and it would be of great help in tracking down that organization. Even if Qin Yuqing didn't agree to let her follow, she would still think of other ways. Unexpectedly, just as she was pondering what to do, Qin Yuqing nodded and agreed. And he said very generously, "I'll give you 50,000 yuan a day. The price of those spells and magical tools is up to you." Does this wealthy person speak in such a loud tone? Happiness came too suddenly and too easily, and Jiang Li didn't react for a moment, feeling a bit stunned. Before he could even speak, Qin Yuqing suddenly changed his tone and said, "However, there's a condition. You want to come back to the Qin family's old house with me. If someone asks about our relationship, you can say it's my friend's daughter staying at home for the time. Do you know? Otherwise, there's a little girl following him. I don't know, but I thought he had some quirks. Deal. Thinking about having so much small money to take, Jiang Li is still very talkative. With her white teeth bared and a grin on her face, she extended a chubby hand towards Qin Yuqing and said, "From now on, you will be my employer. Have a pleasant cooperation. Have a pleasant collaboration." Qin Yuqing looked at the girl who was a few years younger than his niece and gradually restrained his sharpness. Raising his hand symbolically touched Jiang Li's little hand. The warm touch and fair and tender skin, although only a momentary touch, caused a crack in his icy heart. Uncontrollably softened a bit. My mind was slightly shaken, and a question popped out of my heart. Suddenly, I didn't know whether my decision was wrong or right. Such hesitation actually appeared on the Qin family's rulers who had always been decisive in killing and attacking. If someone knows about it, they may be shocked and lose their chin. After signing the contract, according to the terms above, Jiang Li will follow Qin Yuqing back to the Qin family's old house. But she hasn't forgotten that Bai Wei's matter hasn't been resolved yet. Although she knew that Bai Wei must be extremely reluctant in her heart, she still hardened her heart and decided to send her to reincarnation. After all, death is like a lamp going out, and even if one continues to stay in the world, there is nothing they can do. Of course, except for those evil spirits and resentful spirits. So she asked Qin Yuqing for half a day off and repeatedly promised that she would go to the Qin family's old house by herself in the afternoon. Fortunately, Qin Yuqing did not embarrass her and left the hotel with his assistant. In the afternoon. The weather is slightly cold. A gentle breeze brushes past, the fresh air makes everything around you feel relaxed and relaxed. It's early winter, the sunshine is warm and gentle, making people feel so comfortable that they want to squint and take a nap. After resolving Bai Wei's matter, Jiang Li savored the golden light of merit that had fallen into her body and felt happy in her heart, feeling that everything was developing in a positive direction. She waved and intercepted a taxi, gave the address given by Qin Yuqing, and surprisingly slept comfortably in the car. When the car stopped, it was already past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It took 2 hours of driving from the city center to the half-mountain villa in the suburbs. The old residence of the Qin family mentioned by Qin Yuqing. Actually, it is a very extensive estate. Jiang Li stood at the entrance of the manor, gazing at the vast expanse of land, with a feeling of Lu Lao Lao strolling through the Grand View Garden. She has lived for 17 years and has never seen such a huge private villa area before. At a glance, it is full of green space, and the buildings are located far away. Vague, only a slight outline can be seen. After calming down, Jiang Li flipped the crossbody bag on her side, adjusted its position, and prepared to walk over with her foot raised. Before taking 2 steps, a frivolous whistle could be heard not far away. Immediately after, a flamboyant pink figure appeared, holding a fashionable woman in her arms. "TSK TSK TSK, look, where did this little beauty come from? Do you mean, I'm going to have a peach blossom luck today?" As he spoke, the young man in a pink high-cut suit and shiny leather shoes walked up to Jiang Li and carefully scrutinized her up and down. That look is like appreciating a rare artwork. The woman standing next to him let out a cold snort. "Why, I haven't been taught enough by your uncle before. How dare you catch girls? Didn't you say that your uncle came back and still has the mood to see beautiful women here?" After speaking, she changed her previous cold face, blinked at Jiang Li, and reached out to her friendly and affectionate, "Hello, my name is Yi Xian. How do you call me little sister?" "Jiang Li." Jiang Li uttered 2 words and responded with a sweet smile. Although it was the first time we met, she felt that she had a connection with this sister and naturally felt friendly. When she turned her head to look at the pink figure again, her smile disappeared and she said with a serious face, "Uncle, what you just said was wrong. You're not going to have a peach blossom luck, but you've been hit by a peach blossom demon. I advise you not to go out today, otherwise there might be a disaster of blood. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Disaster of Blood and Light. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Disaster of Blood and Light. A disaster of blood and light. The pink figure couldn't hold back and burst out laughing with a thud, and the laughter grew louder and louder. Ha ha ha, blood, a disaster of blood and light. Did you hear that? This is definitely the funniest joke I've ever heard this year. He, Qin Shang, is the only descendant of the Qin family and the only male member of the Qin family's generation. In the entire imperial capital, there is definitely a presence walking horizontally. He has always been the one who causes others to suffer from bloodshed. Who dares to touch a single strand of his hair? If someone dared to say such things in front of him, they would have been beaten to death long ago. However, his greatest advantage is that he cherishes her beauty, let alone such a beautiful little sister. Even for the sake of this face, he doesn't care anymore. Having laughed enough, he patiently corrected himself and said, "Little sister, I'm not an uncle. You should call me Brother Qin. Be good, listen to me. Brother will buy you candy to eat." His appearance was purely teasing the child. Jiang Li glanced at him and felt that there was something wrong with this uncle. But out of politeness, she still replied, "My master said that for those who look older, they should be called uncle, so it's probably right for me to call you uncle. And since I've grown up, I've stopped eating candy for a long time. My master said that eating too much candy can lead to tooth decay, tooth loss, and ugliness." Relying on his status and handsome face, Qin Das Ho, who had always been unfaithful in the love world, fell silent for the first time. It actually amused Yi Xian next to her. Yi Xian increasingly felt that the girl was cute and smiled, asking, "Little Li, are you here to find someone?" "Well, I'm looking for Qin Yucheng." Jiang Li saw that they finally got to the point and quickly took advantage of the heat to strike. "Do you know where he is?" Upon hearing this, Yi Xian and Qin Shang looked at each other in surprise. Yi Xian nudged Qin Shang with her elbow and whispered, "Looking for your uncle. Isn't it your uncle's illegitimate daughter outside?" "Shoo, don't talk nonsense. My uncle is just 25 years old, where did he get such a big illegitimate daughter?" To ask who Qin Shang is afraid of in this family, Qin Yucheng definitely ranks first. Yi Xian pursed her lips, knowing in her heart that her guess was somewhat outrageous. However, if she had to imagine Jiang Li as Qin Xiaoshu's little girlfriend, it would feel even more outrageous. "How old is this girl?" "It looks like he's only 15 or 16 years old, isn't Uncle Qin so beastly?" Just as she was thinking about it, she saw Jiang Li say seriously, "Sister, I will be 18 years old in a month, not Qin Yucheng's illegitimate daughter. My relationship with him may not be clear in a word or two. Can you take me to find him?" Of course you can." Yi Xian's joke was taken seriously, and the old man's face couldn't help but turn red. He poked Qin Shang again and said, "Don't waste time, hurry up and drive." "Got it, you two are waiting here." Qin Shang instructed Yi Xian and then went to the other side to drive the electric scooter. Yi Xian took the opportunity to explain to Jiang Li, "You see, this place occupies a relatively large area, and if you walk, you may have wasted a whole day on the road. So here, electric cars are used for entry and exit. One car will pull the two of us, just right. By the way, Qin Shang is Qin's nephew. Later, let him take you to see him. Sister, are you Qin Shang's girlfriend? We have a chance, so I'll give you a piece of advice. Stay away from him, otherwise it will become unfortunate." Jiang Li spoke seriously, which stunned Yi Xian. After being stunned, she smiled and shook her head. "Our relationship is not as you think. We can be said to be childhood sweethearts and playmates who grew up together. So, if you get used to it, don't misunderstand. Don't worry, it's impossible for me and him. Oh, that's good, Jiang Li nodded. Yi Xian approached her and asked, Little Li, what was the peach blossom sha you just mentioned? It sounds very aggressive. Qin Shan was her playmate from childhood to adulthood, so naturally she didn't want anything to happen to him. Jiang Li thought for a moment and tried to explain to her in simple and understandable language, peach blossoms are good or bad. Good peach blossoms can be said to have peach blossom luck. When you meet a good fate, you may become a couple. But if you commit a bad peach blossom, you may become a peach blossom demon, causing disputes or disasters in your relationship. Do you mean that Qin Shan committed a bad peach blossom? Yi Xian understood and frowned anxiously, asking, You said he would have a bloody disaster, is it serious? Will it be fatal? I can't quite tell at first. However, judging from his appearance, he doesn't seem to be a short-lived person. Oh, that's good. Yi Xian breathed a sigh of relief and thought to herself that since it was not fatal, it might be a good thing to teach him a lesson. He saved himself from being in his early 20s and fooling around all day, circling around those school flower departments. The universities in the imperial capital were almost ruined by him. No wonder the uncle often teaches him a lesson. Before he could breathe a sigh of relief, Jiang Li said, however, although he doesn't seem like a short-lived person now, his appearance can change and cannot be generalized. If he doesn't change his style of behavior, it's hard to say what the future will be like. Sigh. At this moment, Qin Shan drove his electric scooter back. Blowing a short whistle, he gestured, Two beauties, get in the car, okay. Got it. Yi Xian glared at Qin Shan, leaving him with a bewildered expression, completely unaware of where he had offended her. I thought it was safer to calm down a bit, but I didn't say anything frivolous along the way. Yi Xian, on the other hand, was very interested in divination and kept pulling Jiang Li to inquire. By the time she got off the car, she had already developed a strong interest in Jiang Li's profession. I never expected that at such a young age, she was already a feng shui master and sounded very powerful. Buying a talisman, Yi Xian stuffed it into Qin Shan's suit pocket. Taking a pat and warning with his eyes, he said, Put it away for me. If you dare to lose it, you'll be dead. Qin Shan was speechless for a moment. Before she could even speak, Yi Xian turned to Jiang Li and said with a smile, Little Li sister, give me another picture of something that matches. Puff, why don't you spare someone else? Don't even look at what happened to your previous boyfriends. Are you still trying to attract a peach blossom? It's so pitiful if you really get caught. Just take it as your own virtue and save a few people from trouble, ah. Qin Shan sneered and dealt a merciless blow to Yi Xian. As a result, I immediately received a note of Yi Xian's decision to cut off a child and have no descendants. Fortunately, he dodged quickly, otherwise he almost became father-in-law. The two of them were chasing and hiding, playing around when the old butler Ding Bo walked out and coughed heavily. Qin Shan immediately restrained his smile when he saw Ding Bo. Avoiding Yi Xian, he introduced Jiang Li and said, This is Ding Bo, the butler of the old house. Aren't you going to see uncle? Let's go, I'll take you inside. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. White Lies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 White Lies. Son, who is this young lady? Ding Boxu squinted his eyes and carefully examined Jiang Li. His first impression was that she was a well-behaved and beautiful little girl. There are often many girls who come to find the third young master, but they have never been so young. And it was brought back by young master's son, which would be even rarer. Qin Shan could tell from Ding Bo's gaze that he was thinking crooked. Just as he was about to explain, Jiang Li spoke up first. Hello Ding, Jiang Li bowed politely and introduced herself, My name is Jiang Li, and I'm Uncle Qin's a friend's daughter. My parents are not at home recently, so I'm staying at Uncle Qin's house for a while. Master, please forgive me. I am not sincere in lying. Didn't you say that there is a kind of lie in the world called a white lie? I think this is also a white lie, right? Jiang Li muttered silently in her heart, but she didn't know how bad this statement was for those who knew Qin Yucheng. Ding Bo looked suspicious and said to himself, the daughter of a friend of third young master. The third young master has always been on his own and has actually made friends. At the same time, Qin Shang and Yi Xian were also taken aback, expressing deep doubts about Jiang Li's words. But Jiang Li didn't explain anything more, instead he took out a talisman from his crossbody bag. I came in a hurry and didn't make any preparations. I noticed that you didn't look very well, so you can carry this talisman with you. It will feel a bit comfortable. Let's treat it as my meeting gift. I hope you don't mind, he said, turning the conversation aside. This. Ding Bo hesitated and didn't answer. Yi Xian had some understanding of Jiang Li's abilities, so she took the talisman and stuffed it into Ding Bo's arms. Xiao Li smiled and said, Uncle Ding, look at you. They are giving us a gift to meet each other, but we have to keep going. Let me tell you, Xiao Li has some skills. The talisman she gave must be a good thing. Oh, why did Ding Bo's talisman come as a gift, and we still have to spend money to buy it? Little sister, you can't treat it differently. Qin Shang looked dissatisfied. The result was a glare from Yi Xian. Jiang Li pursed her lips and said softly, Master has taught me since I was young to respect the elderly and love the young. Your talisman is already a price for friendship. If you don't want it, you can give it back to me and I will refund you the money. What's the refund? It's up to me, the final say. Xiao Li, leave him alone and let me take you in. Yi Xian said, pulling Jiang Li up and leaving. Seeing this, Qin Shang pursed his lips and dared not say anything more. He followed behind and entered the old house. As a result, Jiang Li walked all the way, distributing greeting gifts all the way to the door of Qin Yucheng's room on the third floor. After a strange silence, Qin Shang finally regained his tongue and said, Uncle Shijing, he only lives on the third floor. Knock on the door and let's go first. Oh, thank you. Jiang Li finally spoke politely, taking advantage of Qin Shang's guidance. Seeing Qin Shang and Yi Xian downstairs, she turned her head and knocked on Qin Yucheng's door. As if reporting, Noa Noa said, I'm here. Enter. A muffled sound came from behind the door, cool and thin. Jiang Li pushed open the door and walked in. As soon as she looked up, she saw a super large room in black, white, and gray, with 3 different color tones. There is a bar counter and an office desk inside, which looks like a beautifully decorated office and doesn't look like home at all. Perhaps there were many empty places, which made Qin Li feel a bit cold. She instinctively rubbed her hands. Then walked to the desk and stand still. Sitting in front of the computer, wearing golden glasses and working, Qin Yucheng said, Uncle, I came as agreed. May I ask where the accommodation arranged for me is? According to the contract, we need to protect your safety, so the 2 of us cannot be too far from the ground. The room across from you has already been cleaned up. You can decide how to decorate it yourself. Qin Yucheng kept moving his hands and didn't lift his head. Jiang Li listened to his arrangement and nodded satisfactorily, no longer disturbing him. She turned around and walked towards the door. Until the door closed, Qin Yucheng looked up towards the direction of the door, took off his glasses, and rubbed his brow. Opposite. Jiang Li pushed open the door, revealing a layout of 1 room, 1 bathroom. The room is slightly smaller than the one opposite, but for Jiang Li, who is used to living in a small and dilapidated apartment, this is already very good and can be called luxurious. She took a few quick steps, lay on her back, and threw herself onto the big bed. The small body bounced on top. This softness is exactly what she likes the most. However, the layout of the room is average, lacking smoke and fire, and it doesn't look like a girl's room at all. Next, we need to buy a lot of things. After a while of planning in her mind, she jotted down everything she needed to buy in the memo on her phone, and then opened WeChat to send a message to Qin Yucheng. The room is very nice, thank you, I'm going to buy something later, so it's best not to leave alone. If you have to go out, remember to call me. 2 messages were successfully sent, and she happily put away her phone. Qin Yucheng saw the news and shook his head with a smile, thinking that this little scammer was quite dedicated. After a moment of silence, he put away his phone and got up, walked out of the room, stopped across from him and knocked on the door. Jiang Li opened the door and poked her little head out. Seeing Qin Yucheng as the visitor, she was stunned for a moment and asked, "Is there anything I need to do? Or are you going out now?" "Well, if you have something to do, go back to the company." Qin Yucheng replied coolly, as there was a moment of silence between the two. After a moment, Jiang Li broke the silence and nodded, "I understand. Just a moment, I can leave right away." "Where are you going?" "Just come over and tell you, you don't need to go. Look at what's missing in the room and have the driver take you to buy it." Although Qin Yucheng signed a contract with Jiang Li, he had no intention of using her at all. Putting her by my side was just a whim. However, Jiang Li couldn't help but take the safety of her employer to heart. She frowned and said solemnly, "The contract is clearly stated. You pay me, and I protect your safety. If you only take money and don't do anything, it will create obstacles and even damage my reputation. Let's go then." Qin Yucheng nodded casually and turned around before leaving. Jiang Li put on his small shoulder bag and closely followed behind him. Like a small tail. That look is incredibly cute and adorable. Perhaps he was in a hurry and didn't notice Qin Yucheng stopping, resulting in a sudden collision with his back. The collision made Jiang Li's nose sour and almost burst into tears. Qin Yucheng turned helplessly and looked down at Jiang Li, his eyes slightly cold. Seeing her head down, a tuft of dull hair stood up on top of her head, appearing very out of place in her soft and smooth hair. Qin Yucheng frowned as he watched. After enduring it for a while, he couldn't hold back and raised his hand to touch the top of Jiang Li's hair. Jiang Li himself didn't know what had happened. Seeing him reach out, he reflexively took a step back and stared at his hand with caution. "What are you going to do? Do you know you're scared now?" Qin Yucheng raised his eyebrows slightly and pressed his hand heavily on the top of her head, rubbing his black hair with ease. "It wasn't until the dull hair flowed down that I stopped, feeling a momentary reluctance in my heart. Surprisingly, it feels easy to touch." At this moment, he strangely realized what kind of mood those who like to tease cats and dogs feel when grooming their fur. He covered his lips and coughed to conceal his secret thoughts, saying, "Don't worry, I won't do anything to you. A little girl, she's quite cautious. Newcomers and new books need to be taken care of. Don't forget to join the bookshelf for those who love mystical literature." Momoda, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. Innate Despair of Love and Righteousness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Innate Despair of Love and Righteousness. Jiang Li noticed Qin Yucheng's carelessness and was very dissatisfied with his attitude. With a calm little face, he said solemnly, "Uncle, it's very impolite of you to pat my head without permission. You should know that for us practitioners, the head is the most important part, especially the top of the head. Is that right?" Qin Yucheng had never seen such a serious little girl before, and he found it quite interesting. Unconsciously trying to tease her. "What would happen if I touched it?" he asked tentatively. Jiang Li furrowed her brows and said, "If you touch it casually again, even if you break the contract, I will teach you some lessons." "Haha. Are you still planning to teach him a lesson?" Seeing Jiang Li's small face tense and stern, Qin Yucheng unconsciously raised his lips. When he realized it, he quickly straightened his lips and nodded, "Okay, I got it. Okay, I'll forgive you this time." Jiang Li touched her head, bypassed Qin Yucheng, and walked downstairs first. When the two of them left the old house, the assistant's car had already parked at the door. Qin Yuqing habitually sat in the back seat, and when he saw Jiang Li also sitting in, he moved uncomfortably to the side and said without looking askance, "I'll go to the company later, and let Liang Yu take you to the nearby supermarket to buy things. If you can't come back before 6:30, you can handle dinner on your own." "Who is Liang Yu?" "Uncle, I can't be separated from you, I have to follow you." Jiang Li was very insistent on his principles, which left Liang Yu driving in front of him speechless. Glancing back through the rearview mirror, I saw Mr. Qin with a dark face and thought to himself that the little girl had a lot of courage. Since he became the executive assistant, he has never seen anyone dare to refute Qin's words in front of him. This little girl named Jiang Li is definitely the first person in history. To ease his embarrassment, he greeted Jiang Li with a friendly smile and said, "Miss Jiang, hello. Let me introduce myself. Liang Yu, Qin's assistant, can come to me for anything in the future. Here is my business card." Speaking, he handed a business card to Jiang Li. Due to politeness, Jiang Li pursed her lips and took the business card. But she didn't stop there. Instead, she turned her head to look at Qin Yuqing again, her eyes flickering. "I'll say it again, since I've collected your money, I'll protect your safety. So, wherever you go, I'll go, and I won't let you act alone. Pushi, little girl, it's a legitimate matter for Mr. Qin to go to the company, which involves commercial secrets. It's not easy for you to follow him. Besides, it's impossible for Mr. Qin to go wherever he goes. Is it possible for Mr. Qin to go to the bathroom and you should also follow him?" Liang Yu found it funny and couldn't help but burst out laughing. The result was the death gaze of Qin Yuqing. He casually touched his nose, consciously turned around, and focused on driving his own car. For a moment, the atmosphere inside the car became stagnant. Just when Liang Yu was worried that this situation would continue and that it would not end in the end, a phone call broke the silence. Liang Yu quickly pressed the answer button on the Bluetooth earphones and listened to the other person report the situation. Unexpectedly, before I could breathe a sigh of relief, I heard the noise from across the street, constantly coming from the sound of something falling to the ground. "What's going on?" Liang Yu lowered his face, his indifferent expression almost identical to that of Qin Yuqing. "Liang Zhu, yes. It's a company employee causing trouble." "No, it should be a former employee. He's holding a knife in his hand and shouting to find Director Zhang to work hard. Will you not let the security guard drive away the troublemaker? If not, call the police. What does your manager do to eat?" As soon as he finished speaking, he let out a sigh upon hearing what the other person was saying. "I understand. Please calm down the employees first, and in about 10 minutes, Mr. Qin and I will be at the company." After Liang Yu finished speaking, he hung up the phone and reported to Qin Yuqing, "Mr. Qin, the previously dismissed employee came to the company to cause trouble and even had a live broadcast throughout, saying that he wanted to discuss the matter. Coincidentally, the department manager was not on a business trip, and the director who was contacted was also nowhere to be seen. People below dared not make decisions without authorization." "Got it," Qin Yuqing replied calmly. As soon as the words fell, Jiang Li spoke slowly and said, "I wanted to tell you when I was divining before that the person who touches your destiny will not only deal with you, but may also take action from your company and family. Be careful. Recently, your company may face numerous major and minor issues, even leading to lawsuits. If not resolved properly, it can affect your luck. If your luck deteriorates, the other party will be more likely to succeed. Miss Jiang, can you figure out who the person behind it is?" Before Qin Yuqing could express his opinion, Liang Yu asked first. "Upon careful consideration, there have been quite a few incidents happening in the company recently. However, it was all trivial matters that were solved by the people below, so it didn't receive much attention." Jiang Li shook her head and said, "It's not easy to find someone with expertise. However, you can start investigating your company's competitors. Is it from Xiang Tai's side? As soon as Liang Yu spoke, he met Qin Yucheng's gloomy gaze, and the words on his lips were swallowed back. Suddenly quiet like a chicken. 10 minutes later, Liang Yu hurried and parked his car at the company gate. Having seen Jiang Li's stubbornness, Qin Yucheng still let her follow into the building. The front desk was stunned when they saw a little girl following the president and assistant, forgetting to even shout. By the time she reacted, several people had already boarded the elevator. Originally, small things like conflicts between employees would not have alarmed the senior management of the company, let alone spread to Qin Yucheng's ears. But this incident is quite serious, and if not handled properly, the company's losses will be significant. As soon as the elevator door opened and Liang Yu's figure appeared, a little secretary ran over and whispered, "The matter has been investigated. It's Director Zhang from the design department who caught the people under him and had contact with Xiangtai to steal design drawings. Thinking he was an old employee of the company, he resigned." "What's going on?" Liang Yu frowned. The secretary quickly explained, but Director Zhang's words were not accepted by the employee, who insisted that he was unjustly accused. He held a knife and gestured, which frightened the employees a lot. Just now, he didn't pay attention and even beat Director Zhang who arrived. Now, the person has temporarily calmed down, but... "Let's go over and take a look." Liang Yu interrupted the little secretary's words and walked quickly towards the conference room. Jiang Li silently followed behind Qin Yucheng. As soon as she entered the door, she remained calm and grabbed Qin Yucheng's sleeve. Qin Yucheng gave her a questioning look. Jiang Li looked at the middle-aged man sitting inside with gauze wrapped around his head, his small face full of indignation. This person has a strong aura of evil energy and is not a good person. You can't believe what he says. Uncle, you see, his eyebrows are pressed against his eyebrows are high, his eye sockets are deep, and his heart is dark and heavy on profit. He has no ability, is lazy and scattered, but is jealous and always wants to calculate others. The law lines grow to the corner of his mouth, the corners of his mouth droop, and he is naturally ruthless and ungrateful. Because the voice was not deliberately lowered, the surrounding employees heard it clearly. Of course, it also includes Director Zhang. Seeing that the other party was a little girl, he was so angry that he slammed the table and glared at Jiang Li with a fierce expression. "Who are you? What are you talking about here? Did I say anything nonsense? You know it in your heart." Jiang Li's stubbornness grew stronger in his bones and he glared back, saying, "People like you shouldn't have been promoted or reused at all. A little bit of power in your hands will be used to suppress and control people with lower power and status than you. If someone threatens your position, you will resort to any means to suppress them. You are jealous of someone else's talent and frame them. You're talking nonsense." Director Zhang was burning with anger, but his gaze was erratic. Upon hearing the comments from the employees around him, he immediately became angry and embarrassed, and pretended to teach Jiang Li a lesson. "Say it again, add a bookshelf, add a bookshelf." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Accidental Popularity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Accidental Popularity. As soon as he lifted his hand, he noticed Qin Yucheng's warning gaze, and the raised hand couldn't even fall down. In a daze, Jiang Li took a step forward and placed a Qingxin talisman on his forehead. Director Zhang was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He grabbed the talisman and held it in his hand, angrily saying, "What are you doing? Let me purify your soul." Director Zhang was taken aback by the words and said to himself that he had indeed felt his mind clear after being manipulated by this little girl. People are not as irritable anymore. Taking advantage of his daze, Jiang Li turned her head to look at the man next to her with a phone and a dull expression on his face. His eyes were full of disapproval. "Although he was at fault first, you shouldn't have come here to cause trouble. If things get big, it will only be you who will be punished in the end." If you create obstacles, it will also affect the people around you. But I really have no choice. There are people from all walks of life in my family, and several mouths rely on me for food. If I am fired, what will they do? At this moment, the man also felt a wave of fear, but more importantly, he felt wronged and lost in middle-age unemployment. Thinking of the starving child at home, he covered his face and burst into tears, making the surrounding employees very moved. Especially those who have a close relationship with him on weekdays know his character. I don't think he can do anything to sell company secrets. Among them, an employee boldly said, Mr. Qin, Mr. Liang Tezu, and Mr. Lin Liang are honest people who have been working in the company for more than 10 years and have been diligent. So I think this matter should be investigated again. Maybe he has been wrongly accused. Unjustified. Do you mean, I wronged him? He's just a clerk, what did I wrongly accuse him of? Director Zhang interrupted the person's words and looked at Qin Yucheng. Suddenly, tears welled up and he cried, Mr. Qin, I'm just wronged. It's clearly a kind heart. Since he's an old man in the company, he didn't make a big deal out of it. Is he right in causing trouble and hitting people, but it's actually mine. Of course it's your fault. Although Jiang Li looks delicate and soft, her imposing demeanor is also very intimidating. The roar stunned Director Zhang. Seeing him stop speaking, she turned to look at Qin Yucheng and said, Uncle, there is indeed someone who has betrayed your company's secrets. But it's not that honest employee, it's him. You. Faced with the accusation, Director Zhang's heart raced and his face turned pale with a pig liver color. No one noticed that at this moment, Lin Mingliang's live broadcast was still on, barrage after barrage. Even if the screen is no longer visible, it still doesn't delay scrolling. Who was the little girl who just spoke? She sounds very capable, what's more. The hand of pasting talismans is too powerful. I'm afraid you didn't see it. The director was scared and froze, ahaha. The little girl shouldn't be a feng shui master, right? Maybe it's some master's disciple who came down the mountain to experience, the one upstairs. Have you read too many novels? By the way, hasn't anyone noticed the little sister's face? Although it's just a fleeting moment, she's just like a fairy sister. 3 seconds, I need all the information of the little sister. Jiang Li herself didn't expect that she had live-streamed several times before, but it didn't cause any splashes. However, it unexpectedly became popular due to the disturbance caused by Qin's employees. Some people even dig deep everywhere, wanting to know everything about Jiang Li. Of course, there are also many people paying attention to the progress of the situation. A low-level employee who dared to fight against the upper echelons and fate of the company caused a considerable sensation. Finally, Qin Yucheng chose to report to the police to handle this matter. By the time he finished his work, the sky had completely darkened, and the street across from him was brightly lit, as if all the gloom had been dispelled in one fell swoop. On the early winter night, the cool breeze blows gently. Assistant Liang wrapped himself in a windbreaker and glanced at the silent Jiang Li, asking, Mr. Qin, the seat has been reserved. Is it over now? Qin Yucheng rubbed his brow and sat in the car, lying on his back seat, ready to rest. Jiang Li took out his phone. As soon as I opened WeChat, several messages popped up inside. Most of them come from Xian. Shaoli, you're angry, do you know there is a video about you on TikTok that I can't even finish scrolling through, so I almost made my debut in the same place. Where is it? I'll treat you to dinner. I have something to tell you, are you still with Uncle Qin? Jiang Li finished reading the message, pondered for a moment, clicked on the voice, and replied in a soft voice, I was busy just now and didn't take the time to reply to the message. Now, we are going to have dinner. If there's nothing urgent to say, can I come back to you later? Are you really with Uncle Qin? He actually took you to the company. Xian expressed shock, her voice roaring out, so loud that even Qin Yucheng and Liang Yu were startled. Qin Yuqing was originally closing his eyes and recuperating when he heard Yi Xian's voice and twisted his eyebrows. Looking at the mobile phone screen, he reached out to take the phone from Jiang Li and replied with voice. You have been free recently. Yi Xian has not arranged for you to join the company. If you are really free, I can arrange a position for you. Yi Xian across from her was about to cry, but she didn't expect to startle this great Buddha. After a moment of silence, she smiled pleasantly and said, "Hee, no need. How dare you trouble uncle? Actually, my brother has already arranged it for me, but I haven't gone yet. Can you return my phone to Li? I'll tell her something. If there's anything, let's talk about it tomorrow." Qin Yuqing directly agreed, and Yi Xian immediately calmed down. However, Jiang Li expressed dissatisfaction with his actions and glared at him with a cold expression. "Uncle, this is my phone, I'm in charge. We're just in an employment relationship, you shouldn't make decisions for me. Are you not tired?" Qin Yuqing's face also darkened. Seeing Jiang Li shake his head, he snorted, "Not tired, not hungry. It's pretty good. It seems like you can save money now." Perhaps to protest, Jiang Li's stomach screamed at the right time. She covered her stomach and tightly pursed her small mouth. "I am clearly hungry, but because I don't want to show weakness, I can only remain silent. As soon as Xiao stubbornly gets angry, no one will buy it." Silently all the way to the restaurant entrance. Qin Yuqing saw that Jiang Li had no intention of getting off the car and sneered, "Why, you practitioners don't even need to eat. I can open up the valley." "Not bad, quite backbone," Qin Yuqing sneered. She no longer cared about her and strode into the restaurant gate. Liang Yu looked at Jiang Li, hesitating to speak. Seeing that the little girl was already so hungry that her heart was pressing against her back, but her eyes were still stubborn, she couldn't help but advise, "Don't argue with Mr. Qin. You've been very helpful today, and Mr. Qin specifically asked me to make an appointment here to treat you to a meal. I just wanted to thank you." Jiang Li was taken aback and suddenly felt a little regretful. Although it may seem calm on the surface, in reality, I am secretly crying in my heart. In the past, when my master was here, he often said that she had a bad temper and should change it, otherwise she would suffer great losses in the future. Now it seems that one word has become a prophecy. But the big talk has already been released, and now it's being retorted. Isn't it going to be shameful? Even if I want to buy something to eat myself, I feel embarrassed and worried about being exposed and losing face. Do you think Li is very cute? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. This face is really nice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. This face is really nice, perhaps heaven pities it. Just as Jiang Li was entangled in regret, Qin Yuqing went back and forth and walked out of the restaurant. Liang Yu glanced in the direction of the restaurant and greeted it, saying, "Mr. Qin, are you?" "No way, they came out to find them, right?" Jiang Li saw Qin Yuqing's face solemn, with a layer of gloom between his eyebrows. He pinched his fingers and calculated, and his small face also sank. "Uncle, is there a problem with your nephew's side?" Although her soft voice was questioning, her tone was full of affirmation. Previously, she advised Qin Shang not to go out today because she saw that he had been caught in the peach blossom evil. It seems that he is not obedient. Fortunately, with that talisman, there should be no worries about life for the time being. Upon hearing these words, Qin Yuqing lifted his eyes and glanced at Jiang Li, his gaze heavy and complex. Nodding, he asked, "Can you find his location?" Just now, he just stepped into the restaurant and received a distress call from Qin Shang in the back. Unfortunately, before I could say anything, the phone was hung up. Although his nephew has always been a troublemaker, he has never encountered such a situation. After all, with the Qin family around, anyone who wants to move Qin Shang must weigh it carefully. But this time things were different. He had a premonition that if he didn't care, something might really happen. Originally, he didn't really believe in metaphysics and always felt that it was just some pretentious thing. After Director Zhang's incident, he suddenly became somewhat uncertain. For a moment, my heart was filled with mixed flavors. However, he didn't have the time to think too much. Qin Shang's side could be in danger at any time, and he must be found first to ensure his safety. Fortunately, Jiang Li did not care about the previous unpleasantness. Knowing that saving people is like putting out a fire, she blinked her big black eyes and looked at Qin Yuchen, then at Liang Yu. Do you have anything he has used? It's okay to touch it. Yes, do you think this is okay? Liang Yu suddenly remembered that on Qin's birthday before, Qin Xiao gave him a Patek Philippe watch. Always left in the car. Hurry up and search for it. Once the gift box was found, it was immediately handed to Jiang Li. Jiang Li took the gift box and took out a talisman paper from the crossbody bag on her body. Stick it on the gift box and hand it to Qin Yuchen. What are you doing? Qin Yuchen's eyes flashed with a hint of doubt as he saw her chattering away in a divine manner. He suddenly felt that it was a bit childish to entrust Qin Shang's safety to this little girl. Jiang Li saw his complex and indecisive expression, and regardless of the situation, she stuffed the gift box into his arms. Then he pinched the formula with his right hand and murmured, "The Qiong wheel shines brightly, full of gains and losses. The mysterious scenery is clear, and the divine gate is opened. There is a high statue in the middle, a Qiong crown and a feather robe. May the spiritual energy descend and come to my return." As soon as the curly words fell, a white light flashed before Qin Yuchen's eyes. Jiang Li pointed to the front rearview mirror and gestured, "Look over there." Qin Yuchen raised his eyes according to his words and saw that the mirror of the rearview mirror had become blurred. After seeing the scene inside clearly, it was already a different scene. About an hour ago, Qin Shang drove his own supercar and stopped in front of the Qiweyan bar. I had originally scheduled a meeting with a friend here, but before my friend arrived, I met a beautiful woman I had met before. According to Qin Shang's previous style, it is natural to invite the beautiful woman to a drink. After drinking and exchanging contact information, Qin Shang was about to get up when he suddenly felt a little dizzy for some reason. Before losing consciousness, he vaguely saw the beautiful woman smiling at him. That smile has an indescribable strangeness. Then, he knew nothing. When he woke up again, he was already tied up, his hands and feet were all shackled with iron shackles. Looking around, there is a strange pattern painted on the ground, which looks a bit like the ritual array used in movies. His first reaction was that he felt the situation was not right, so he quickly took out his phone and prepared to call for help. I don't know what the other person thinks, but they didn't take their phone away. But before he could speak, his phone was taken away by a hand that had undergone nail art. Because everything happened too quickly, he only had time to shout out and didn't know if the uncle had heard him. Seeing the phone hang up, he suppressed the urge to curse and his face twitched. Looking at the woman holding his phone, he squeezed out a self-proclaimed handsome smile. Try to discuss with her, "Beauty, let go of me first. Look, if you want to keep me, just say it, there's no need for that, right?" As he spoke, he made a profit and took a cold breath with a hiss. "Stop playing, okay? It hurts a lot. Why, this has just started and you can't hold on anymore." The woman leaned weakly and boneless against the wall, her body outlined in a red dress that was wrapped around her, protruding forward and backward. She pinched Qin Shang's phone with her index finger and thumb, shook it, and lightly turned her wrist, throwing the phone onto the nearby sofa. Then he walked towards Qin Shang step by step, bent down, and pressed his index finger against his chin. He looked up and down and said, "Don't worry, this face is really nice. It's not worth my heart thinking about it for so many days. Look, it's getting late, why don't we start now? Open. What's the beginning?" Qin Shang's smile was about to fade away. When he was drinking before, he hadn't noticed that the fragrance on this woman's body was choking to death, and there was still a faint nauseating stench. The smoke almost made him vomit. After finally suppressing the urge to vomit, the woman chuckled softly. He muttered to himself, "Husband, you should also like this skin bag, right? Wait a little longer, soon it will be yours. By then, we will be together forever, and no one can separate us anymore." Lying trough. You're crazy. Qin Shang's heart sank and his anger burned. Staring coldly at the woman and cursing loudly, "If you're sick, go see a doctor. I won't play with you anymore. Hurry up and let go of me, otherwise." Otherwise, what? Faced with Qin Shang's scolding, the woman didn't seem to be angry at all. Just looking at Qin Shang's eyes, it was like looking at a fish pressed on a chopping board. With a slight curl of her lips, she stood up and walked towards the next room. "When I come back, I'm pushing the wheelchair in my hand." On the wheelchair, there sat a male corpse that had already begun to rot. Seeing the male corpse, Qin Shang felt his scalp tingling and his hair standing up. If it weren't for the conditions not allowing, he would have jumped up now. The woman in red seemed to find it not stimulating enough, so she introduced it to him with a coquettish smile and said, "I almost forgot to introduce myself to you. This is my husband, Wen Lang. You see, his flesh and skin can no longer support him. You say, exchange yours for him, okay? Killing is illegal. Don't act recklessly." Qin Shang endured the pain and tried to dodge with a calm face, saying, "You know my identity. If you touch me, the Qin family won't let you go. Is it worth investing your whole life in a dead person? You let me go now, let's discuss everything together." "It's too late." The woman shook her head and pulled out a sharp knife with a cold gleam from the wheelchair, walking towards Qin Shang. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Tiao Hu Li Shan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Tiao Hu Li Shan. Qin Shang stared at the knife, struggling incessantly, making the iron shackles clatter. "I almost cried. What are you doing? The police. Warn you not to act recklessly." Qin Shang wanted to hide and leaned back desperately. But as the knife got closer and closer to him, he couldn't do anything and his heart was filled with despair. Unexpectedly, I was pecked in the eyes by geese all day long while fighting. Thinking of the warning given to him by Jiang Li in the daytime, he regretted it so much that his intestines turned blue. If I had known this would have happened, I wouldn't have come out even if I had killed him. But it's too late to say anything now. I can only close my eyes and wait to die. Unexpectedly, the expected pain did not come, only feeling a strong wind blowing all over the body, followed by a scream. As the position of his chest heated up, he suddenly thought of something. Opening her eyes, she saw the woman lying on the ground, her sharp knife already thrown out. "What are you hiding?" The woman gritted her teeth, almost crushing one of them in pain. She stood up trembling and stumbled towards Qin Shang. "Start rummaging through him." Qin Shang was worried that she would find the life-saving amulet and struggled to deny it, saying, "I have nothing on me, really nothing." "Impossible." The woman didn't listen to Qin Shang at all and finally found the pocket containing the talisman. Seeing the exposed corner of yellow, she slowly curled her lips, their color bright red as blood. Against the backdrop of this scene, there was a ghostly sight that frightened Qin Shang, causing his scalp to tingle and his eyes to turn red. But when the woman reached out to grab the talisman paper suddenly lit up with a red light, burning her hand. "Ah!" The woman covered her injured hand and glared at Qin Shang with resentment in her eyes, as if she was about to break him apart. Qin Shang didn't expect this talisman to be so powerful. After being stunned for a moment, he smiled proudly, raised his eyebrows, and snorted, "How about you? You've seen something amazing, haven't you? I'm not afraid to tell you, this is something a master gave me for self-defense, controlling you, this kind of crooked way. Those who are sensible, hurry up and let go of me, otherwise there will be even more powerful waiting for you. Humph, I want to see how many times it can save you. The woman remained completely unmoved, as if fearless of pain, and once again reached out to grab the talisman. This time, the red light emitted by the amulet noticeably faded. The woman was surprisingly able to withstand it. Immediately after, the talisman paper turned into ashes at a visible speed to the naked eye, making Qin Shang's heart chill. It's over. If the talisman is gone, isn't he destined to die? Just as if to match his mood, in a moment of despair, I saw a woman sneering and picking up a sharp knife from the ground. Walking towards him again. Woo-woo, my life is at rest. Qin Shang obediently closed his eyes tightly, but he recited all the gods and Buddhas in his heart. Unfortunately, this time, the miracle did not happen. He only felt a sharp pain in his wrist and immediately saw blood. Blood. Qin Shang has been dizzy with blood since childhood. As soon as he saw the blood droplets emerging, he rolled his eyes and fainted. Meanwhile, Liang Yu's car was parked in a remote bungalow area. The moment he stepped on the brake, his heart beat like a beat. It is not an exaggeration to say that Xing Xing drove the car to the level of a racing car. In order to rush the time, he ran through countless red lights with sparks and lightning all the way. However, before he could recover, Qin Yucheng and Jiang Li got off the car. He can only catch up quickly. This way. Jiang Li's little hand held the compass and led the two of them through the streets and alleys, and soon arrived at the door of the house where Qin Shang was locked. She looked up at the sky and frowned, murmuring, "What a heavy evil energy." "That's it." Seeing Jiang Li pointing to the room, Liang Yuli immediately kicked the door. Bang! As the door was kicked open, the three of them burst into the room and saw Qin Shang fainting in the center of a sacrificial array. But there was no one else in the room besides him. Oh, no, there's also a decaying corpse. Liang Yu covered his nose, suppressed the urge to vomit, and stepped forward to save the person. Jiang Li stopped him and said, "Let me come." As he spoke, he took out a dagger from his diagonal bag. As the dagger was pulled out, the silver light of the blade almost blinded Liang Yu's eyes. Even if he doesn't understand, he knows it's definitely a treasure. Sure enough. The dagger was struck on the iron chains and shackles, like cutting vegetables, cutting iron like mud. When the person was rescued, he reported to the police and called for an ambulance. Jiang Li said to Qin Yucheng, "Uncle, why don't you go to the hospital with me? I'll go pursue the person behind the scenes." "What are you chasing? You little girl, you're not afraid of danger." Qin Yucheng only felt tired and spent money, but worried about his old father's heart. This big night, there may be hidden dangers everywhere. Even an adult man like him wouldn't wander alone on the street, let alone the messy bungalow area here. You should know that most of the people who rent here are people who come from other places to make a living or unemployed wanderers. A mix of fish and dragons. Even during the day, he wouldn't let Jiang Li run around, let alone at night. But Jiang Li could see that the formation on the ground was not yet completed, indicating that the opponent was walking in a hurry and definitely not far away. Go chase now, maybe we can catch up. If they are released this time, Qin Shang may still encounter danger. But Qin Yucheng clearly didn't intend to listen to her and interrupted, "No need, but come with us to the hospital." "How can that be done? If I take the money, I want to do things beautifully. Knowing that the villain is nearby but letting it go, isn't that helping the tyrant to harm us? Master once said, if you take the money, you must do things without any carelessness, otherwise it will create karma and be detrimental to our cultivation. It's about Dao Xian." Jiang Li is very persistent. Qin Yucheng felt a headache. Knowing that with this little girl's stubbornness, if she doesn't agree, she will definitely find an opportunity to sneak away. Helplessly, Liang Yu could only be arranged to follow to the hospital, while he was responsible for driving and taking Jiang Li to find people nearby. Following their evil energy, the two of them found a place in the forest. In the forest, withered trees stand tall and eerie everywhere. Stop the car. Seeing the compass pointer fixed in one direction, Jiang Li quickly shouted to stop. The two of them got off the car one after another, and Jiang Li raised his hand to stop Qin Yucheng, who was going ahead. His small face was full of seriousness. "Uncle, you follow behind me." Originally, she could have asked Qin Yucheng to wait in the car. But the other party is likely from a mysterious sect, and there is more than one person, so it is safer to follow her. Upon hearing this, Qin Yucheng's eyes darkened slightly, and he habitually wanted to educate her. "I think this little girl looks obedient and clever, but her courage is surprisingly strong, which is too worrying." Before he could even speak, Jiang Li seemed to have noticed something and brushed past him without giving him a chance to speak. Rubbing his eyebrows, Qin Yucheng could only follow quickly. The two of them took a few steps forward and saw a blue cloth bag under one of the trees. Jiang Li stepped forward to open the cloth bag and found a set of red dresses inside. The evil energy she is tracking comes from here. Knowing that she had been deceived, she furrowed her brow and said regretfully, "You're really cunning, you've managed to lure a tiger away from the mountain." End of this chapter.